Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel Lambert. Some of you may know me as Dan Lambert. And I have the pleasure of having Marina Barnes, principal enterprise architect at a biotech company in the state of Washington, USA. She's been a student of mine, and after getting her TOGAF business architecture certificate, she's now much better than I am as a business architect and enterprise architect. And we will be, I will be asking 27 questions through a tool called menti.com. And you're welcome to answer, but we'll be listening to the answers of Marina and understand why she thinks the answer is the answer she's providing. You may use the code 61350350. Here's a few things that you should know about Marina. She lives in the greater Seattle region, and she is a principal enterprise architect in a biotech company. And previously, she was also an enterprise architect at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And yes, she met Bill Gates. And she was also previously a business intelligence architect at the Boston University. She's TOGAF certified 1 and 2. And after passing a course with me and EA principles, TOGAF business architecture, she's now a TOGAF business architecture certified architect. Here's our first question. And so, Marina, how long have you been an enterprise architect? Do you have a technical or a business background?
Right. Thank you, Daniel. First of all, many thanks for the wonderful introduction. I'm really happy to be here. And thank you all for joining on your Friday. And also just a few words, Daniel, about you. I just loved your course. It made a big impact on my career as an outcome on our organization as well. So for any of you who are looking for certification in enterprise business architecture, I highly recommend Daniel as a wonderful, knowledgeable instructor. So I have been an enterprise architect for over 5 years. And yes, I do have a technical background, mainly rooted in data. For many years, 20 plus, doing data analytics for large organizations, starting from the East Coast, then moving into Massachusetts, Boston University, then also doing a lot of work in the data space for organizations on the West Coast, Pacific Northwest in the US, Seattle Children's, Thomson Reuters, many other organizations, and then landing at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where I was leading, standing up a global data analytics platform, and then transitioning into enterprise architecture space.
Good. So how long have you been employed at your organization? What has been your greatest accomplishment so far?
Yes, and I'm also supposed to answer questions here, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I have been working for my current organization for almost 2 years, 1.5, coming on 2. And I would say that the greatest accomplishment was actually, as it relates to our webinar, standing up business architecture practice within our organization and piloting it, really based on the course, business architecture course, Daniel, that you teach, and applying a lot of the concepts within our organization, and also as it relates to being part of the AI strategy that we are leading right now. So everything really connects there, and I can talk a little bit about this more later as well. Yeah, thank you.
Is practicing EA in a biotech organization very different than in other industries?
Um, I would say that it's somewhat different.
Okay.
And yeah, somewhat different. And that is because the subject matter and the core domains, there is definitely, there are a lot of specifics around it. And it's really, really important for enterprise architects to continue learning about biotechnology, about the core functions, and to better relate to, especially as a business architect.
Yes, and getting information from scientists must not be easy, since usually they have very independent minds and use a very elaborate vocabulary, and which is not always easy to understand. I've had a few pharma companies, and sometimes people say IT people are weird. Well, biotech's PhD people may be just as weird as us. Okay. Um, how important are TOGAF and TOGAF business architecture certifications in your organization?
Um, I would say my personal opinion. Um, my personal opinion is that yes, it's very important.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it provides a lot of background information and really helps us, keeps us grounded in frameworks. And as we don't necessarily need to apply the frameworks exactly word to word, it really helps us to think strategically and see the big picture. So I would say definitely yes, in my opinion.
All of this is your opinion. It's got nothing to do with your employer. Let's be clear about that, Marina.
Yes.
How useful can an enterprise architecture team be in an organization?
Um, uh, in my opinion, can be useful, can be very beneficial to include enterprise architecture in strategic planning. And that is because enterprise architecture typically would have a deep level of expertise across key verticals when it comes to technology, applications, data, and business. So it's definitely critical to include enterprise architecture team. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you would like me to elaborate, Daniel, to this.
Let's move on to more delicate questions.
Mhm.
For most people, enterprise architecture is about those four domains: business architecture, uh, application and services architecture, information and data architecture, and technology or infrastructure. And based on that, what is currently the most important EA domain in your organization, and why? There's a politically correct answer. All equally important. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Interesting to see a variability here in the answers. I would say, in my personal opinion, all are equally important. There might be times when one gains more emphasis within an organization, but it ideally should be balanced, and the balance is hard to achieve, but depending on priorities. I would say that in our organization, we're also structured in a way that honors various domains, and they are equally balanced as much as possible.
Right. Let's move on to the next question. What would be the most important EA domain in your organization, and why? Well, I know your answer.
Yes, yeah. Well put it.
And I, I would agree with the blue answer, but Marina, I'm biased. I'm a business architect more than and that's my expertise. I know a lot about applications and the other stuff, but business architecture I know very well. Okay, and in any event, if you don't have good data, if your application sucks or your technology sucks, well, your business architecture is not going to be any good either. So, uh, probably all equally important is the answer. Okay. This one is a question that Marina has already answered in the course, and feel free to answer. You'll have a minute to answer, and then Marina and I will provide our opinion about the proper answer. You will not get more points if you answer quickly. To work optimally, the concepts of business architecture need to be understood by both IT and business stakeholders. Yes, business and IT stakeholders must comprehend business architecture. That's answer number one. Number two, only IT stakeholders must comprehend business architecture. Number three, only business stakeholders must comprehend business architecture. And number four, nope, not at all. Marina, what did you answer?
Um, Number 4.
Yeah, now that's because she took the course. Um, if you talk to business stakeholders or IT stakeholders and bore them with business architecture, you will lose them. And you need to talk about their problems using business architecture artifacts to solve them. But you don't need to say, here's a capability, and this one is a level 3 capability, and this is a value stream and not a value chain. You don't do any of that. You're not there to teach, you're there to solve problems. And you listen to their problems and you try to find solutions to their problem using business architecture. I love the analogy of a doctor. You go and see a doctor, he will listen to you, ask you simple questions that you understand, and then will come up with the medical pills that you need to take or the test that you need to take. And will explain in simple terms that the patient will understand and will avoid all the fancy words that he knows and that he probably used in his head to deliver the advice and the prescription that he was providing you. And therefore, my advice to you is to do like doctors and focus on their problem and find a way to explain it simply using business architecture artifact, but do not annoy your business and IT stakeholders with it. Okay, Marina, sorry, I
Yeah.
talked too much, huh?
But no, that's great because I think I love this question, and I remember our debates and conversations during the class about this question. We probably spent, a lot of time really because it's so important to understand. And, from our perspective, we work so hard to gain certification, to get academic knowledge, and we definitely are looking for opportunities to share that with others. And in this case, I think in your example, being humble and really using the knowledge to communicate with our stakeholders in a way that we are more relatable and really more focused on the outcome and the value that we could bring to an organization. It's a little bit of a shift. So that was definitely a shift for me, which I'm still applying and learning, and finding this advice very valuable. Is actually useful in real life, right? So it does require a little bit of a mindset
and
shift.
and so that you know, 95% of the students that follow the course answer number 1, 2, or 3, but not 4.
Right.
So it's frequent as an error, and if you can stop doing that, explaining what you do, and focus on the people's problem, what's keeping them up at night, well, then you know what? They're going to love you. Okay. Select among these business design models the ones that you prefer and why. Once you're done with your selection, Marina, please tell me which one you like, because all those answers are anonymous.
Yeah, that's great. And if anybody wants to share why they chose a particular model in comments, I would love to see that. Still sort of learning and exploring. My choice was business model canvas. I just love this specific model, and that is because on a single page we can actually see the essence of the business that we are trying to support and enable and serve. So to me, definitely it resonated quite a bit. If any of you are taking Daniel's class or are planning to, part of it, in my experience, was also working through some of the nuances of building a business model canvas, which was beautiful based on your experiences, based on your the specifics of your business, and helping you to bring it back and adjust and share with your organization or with your leadership. So definitely I find it very, very impactful.
Great. Thank you, Marina. And if I remember well, the business model canvas on the last day is we built a draft together, did we?
Yeah, we built the pretty much the model based on the publicly available information, right? And I adjusted it as much as possible to at a high level.
I'm sure you adjusted it afterward. I'm sure you did.
Yes.
Okay. Now, AI is a big thing in every industry. In pharma, it's extremely important, and it can be used for target discovery and early drug discovery, aggregation and synthesis of info, clinical trials, design and processing of preclinical experiments, and repurposing of existing drugs. And now, without revealing any details, I'm going to ask you a few questions about AI. Does your digital transformation projects currently involve AI projects? So you've got 6 answers possible in there. So Marina, what did you answer?
I answered that, let me keep it at a high level, that we do have initiatives underway. Yeah.
Okay, so 4, probably 4 or 2?
2.
2. Okay, so you have a lot. Okay. Yeah, a lot is happening. I went to Gartner in October, and I'm telling you, it was all about AI. And yes, it's going to have usually a positive impact on our daily life, both at home and at work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, basically,
Okay.
the majority of the CEOs now believe that AI strategy is one of the top priorities. So definitely, I see the reflection here in a diagram as well. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk a little about capabilities. I'll have specific questions. This is a framework that your organization bought not too long ago, and it's obviously not perfect. Perfection is extremely expensive and takes forever. But it's enables pharmacy companies to build their capabilities much more rapidly than in a blank page, and it also allows people to check their own capabilities and see if any are missing. So you'll notice that some of those capabilities are specific to the industry, like clinical research, general drug product management, innovation and research, intellectual property, which is a big thing in the pharma space, medical device, product management, medication, product management, obviously, and drug regulatory. People can die with medication, and therefore the FDA is making sure that you don't commercialize too early and do things right before commercializing a product. Okay, based on this, I have a second question. Again, a lot of people can answer if they want. And here are the questions that I'd like people to answer. Optimally, the organization needs to adapt its business vocabulary to the selected business architecture framework. There's 4 possible answers. And once everyone has answered, we'll listen to the opinion of Marina. Okay. Most people agree with me. A framework should adapt to the business reality of the organization. Marina, do you agree?
I do, Daniel. I can see other perspectives as well here, and curious to see the kind of the thinking behind it, because definitely we could argue both ways here. And in my personal opinion, I believe that frameworks are really designed to give us tools, enable us with a additional sort of academic perspective that can help us to drive outcomes that businesses first. I believe that we are in support of our business. So in this case, we need to listen, we need to adapt, and really help to shape the direction as much as possible in a nimble way. So that's my personal opinion. I have seen that in practice working as well, especially I think, Daniel, as you brought up the business capability map previously, and I loved seeing the likes, because definitely it's part of the course as well, exploring the examples of business capability maps and then bringing them back to our organization. Definitely adjustments were needed, because this is really the common language that our business established. We need to honor that, and that is really the main purpose, is to make sure that we create that level of comfort, understanding common language within the business, and use that appropriately and adapt. So yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Do you use capabilities in your organization? You definitely do. Others can answer. So, Marina, you probably answered 1.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move on. Do you take into account the input of business stakeholders while designing your capabilities in your organization? You'd be surprised, not everybody does.
Yeah, this is a challenging area. I see a lot of responses in the first column and also second. Being perfect in all cases can be definitely not always possible, and striving to work with the business stakeholders to make sure that it really originates on the business side and adapt to it and demonstrating the value. I think this is the best we can do. So it's great to see that many are reaching that level of sort of perfection, and there is definitely ways to go. And sometimes there are changes, so we might be a little bit out of balance. But yes, definitely. And the more they use it, the more they contribute, and we really honor the business vocabulary, the more resonance we can create. Mhm.
Let's move on to question 14. Do you split your level one capabilities in three tiers as suggested by TOGAF Business Architecture and BizBot? So, Marina, what is your answer?
Yeah,
This one I don't know.
that my answer is one, although I do see here uh, fellowship there of TOGAF, and we love TOGAF as well. And I think in this kind of scenario, we did have various debates, and I personally, in my personal opinion, I find the tiers very useful in our organization. In terms of how we connect with the business, we found it a little bit easier, kind of a easier way of entry is to use our own tiers. And there are pros and cons. There are pros and cons, yeah, to this. But I personally appreciate the three tiers. In some cases, it could be easier, but then as our organization, fairly large, so as we work with the business, sometimes it's easier to go a little bit slightly different way. And I have seen actually some models, sample models in the industry that also using slightly different ways of doing that. But it introduces additional challenges that we are working through because it's not a clear cut anymore. But it works best for us at this time. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's move on to question 15. What domains are aligned to your capabilities in your organization? Uh, Knowing that your capabilities are used in your organization. So there's a bunch of them that you can align to. Which one do you align to? Let people answer. And once you're ready, Marina, tell me the numbers to which you align your capabilities to.
Um, 2, so customer journey value stream. 3, division business unit. 4, stakeholder. 6, application system. In some situations, 7, information concept. I think that's pretty much it. So in
Okay.
terms of allegiance to TOGAF, yes, we love the relationships and trying to use tools to build the relationship in some cases where we can to showcase that. Yeah, it's interesting to see the numbers here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, applications and system is, in my experience, the most common one,
Yeah.
and I'm not surprised that it's the most numerous in this survey. But it can be used in many other ways. If you know who is responsible and who use a business capability, you can allocate the cost associated with that capability accordingly. And
Mhm.
that's the main reason why you should do it. And sometimes you have capabilities that are orphans, and no one are managing them or are owning them, and this is usually why it's not performing well. Anyways, I'm not there to provide a course. Let's move on. I've been talking too much again, Marina. Sorry.
Mhm. Daniel, I'm wondering, there is a question here, or a comment related to relationship of business capability to master data, how we would address that. It's an interesting
Well, we'll
comment.
do we'll do the questions at the end, Marina, if we've got time, because 27 questions in 45 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
it's a lot of it's a lot of questions. Do you measure capabilities in your organization, Marina? And which one is yours, Marina? Which one did you pick?
Um, let me just see here the number, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I picked the we do measure, and it's qualitative.
okay. Qualitative.
Mm-hmm.
Understood. Quantitative is trickier. You need good data, otherwise don't do it. And qualitative, the problem is if you use surveys among subject matter experts or business stakeholders, they each have their political agenda, and sometimes they want to push the resources their way, so they may answer in such a way to make sure that the money goes their way. So there's no perfect way, and many will subject matter expert will answer honestly with very little politic. Okay, we'll move on to question 17. What capability measurements does your organization use? Now, everyone knows the maturity level, but there's a lot more that you could use. Marina, what did you answer?
Um, I answered maturity, and with maturity, we actually have different flavors of maturity. We have current, we have target in some cases. We also have industry in some cases, and we also have additional ones that are not listed here, and there's a market differentiation to really
Okay,
see how competitive that particular capability could be, potentially,
okay.
and where we could move the needle in a transformation, business transformation space. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let's move on to question 18. Well, other questions will be about value streams. In the framework that you purchased, uh, there's 48 value streams. In reality, there are far more than that, well over 100, but uh, there's 48 in there. And do you use value streams in your organization? Since you've answered that you link capabilities to value streams, I'm assuming you do. So take the time to answer. So what is your answer, Marina?
My answer is number two.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. So let's move on to question 19. Do people in your organization confuse value streams with other concepts when you're validating your value stream? Okay, what was your answer, Marina?
My answer was number two, and it's really wonderful to see I'm not alone. Yes, whoever answered, let's stay connected and see how we can best support this. This is a really interesting phenomenon, and yeah.
The um, the difference between a value stream and a business process, it's at the stage at which you are examining a problem. So a value stream is used to filter the capabilities that you need to focus on. Either they're problematic, they're not mature enough, they are not performing well, and they need to provide value to a client, usually, or a patient, and that's the use of a value stream as opposed, and they are not lean value streams, which are processes. And processes is once you've decided where you'll be investing your resources, you need to deliver it properly in a efficient manner and making sure that and very little mistakes are done. And usually you try to automate the process as much. So there's a lot of steps in a process that do not provide value per se, but they are very important to do. Processes are very important to do to deliver correctly a digital transformation project. Anything to add, Marina?
I would say that I just love that meta model diagram that you put together, Daniel, and we actually in our organization use it very frequently. It really helps to also kind of deconstruct different elements and make sure we understand how they relate to each other and what is the level of granularity. So in this case, yeah, so if I believe that diagram is available on LinkedIn, is also part of the book that you published, Daniel. So that can also help a little bit for those that are curious how to better articulate that to your stakeholders within IT in the business. Mhm.
All right. Let's move on. Question 20. So, business architecture in an agile world and IT architecture is basically about this. You need to provide value propositions made of one or several products and services, including microservices. And it's delivered through a value stream, which is triggered by a customer, a user, a partner, a patient. And the value stream has several value stages. If people do not grasp value stream, it was the case a few years ago. You can use customer journeys, which are somewhat similar. And you need to find the participating stakeholders. You need to find the enabling capabilities. And the third one is the required info to provide value to your patient. And the capabilities obviously are supported by applications. That includes microservices. Once you've done that, you need to do the how and all processes. So let's have some questions about value, uh, uh, all of this. Do you use value propositions in your organization, Marina?
Uh, we have started recently using this concept as part of the value stream, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay, great.
mhm.
We'll leave it there another minute. Sometimes it goes to 8 people that answered. There's 20 people that are there, and up to 8 answer questions. Thank you for your participation, by the way, everyone. Let's move on to question 21. Do you have customer journey maps within your organization? In this case, we should be saying patient journey maps, probably. So, Marina, what did you answer?
I answered 5, and there is definitely room there for a change, and there is a lot of interest and appetite and trials. So I think it's all good, and it's really beautiful to see here that some are already using it in various capacities. So that's awesome.
Well, in biotech, especially those that are not um, um, focusing on commercialization, customer journeys may not be used as much as elsewhere. In large pharmas, they probably have patient journey maps. Um, okay, let's move on to question 22. Do you use information concepts in your organization? I think I heard you say yes. Okay. So you do.
Yeah, my answer was number 2.
Okay.
Um, we use, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm, we find it
Now
very.
here it's all over the map. Uh, I've seen everything. Lean IX calls them information objects. I think I don't remember. I went to one of their conference not too long ago, and sometimes they're called information type. TOGAF, Business Architecture Certification, does that. Sometimes they call it, uh, but information concept is the most common way of calling them, and they're not data, but you'll gather your data based on your information concepts. Okay, let's move on to question 23. Do you think information concepts can be useful to enhance the quality of data for AI learning? In my humble opinion, if you don't do that, your AI is going to be crap. But Marina will say it in a much more politically correct way. So go ahead, Marina.
Daniel, right? Yeah, just to echo your sentiment. Yeah, data management is one of the key pillars of success within the AI space. So definitely, we should continuously invest in the quality of our data and processes that lead to it. So I agree here. It sometimes may not be possible, again, perfection hard to achieve, but at least striving towards it, making sure that data management is a key part of our AI strategy is key.
We're almost at the end. These are 5 agile strategy execution steps that I think are very important if you want your organization planning ecosystem to work. And from business design all the way to agile delivery and execution. And I think that business and enterprise architects are well positioned to make sure that people stop planning in silo and start planning together. And I have specific questions about delivery. Are enterprise architects in your organization involved with the determination of business outcomes? Okay. What did you answer? One or two, Marina?
I chose two, and that is,
Okay.
I think, the main rationale. It's hard to be engaged everywhere, but on core key strategic initiatives, definitely yes. So therefore, sometimes it's really spread.
Okay.
Mhm.
25. Do relevant employees have access to your organization's enterprise or business architecture model? 5 years ago, most would have said no, but things are changing. Okay. What did you answer, Marina?
I chose number one as an answer.
Okay.
And I think also, Daniel, to your point, from a vendor standpoint, the tools that we have right now, vendors also have certain strategy in terms of licensing and how to make sure there is transparency that leads to additional outcomes, definitely helpful for us. So we love this particular model, and we try very hard to make sure that artifacts are available. And in terms of usage, so we also put some efforts into kind of broadcasting and communicating. Yeah.
Okay. I personally prefer two, and not showing everything to everyone, and showing what's relevant to them, but not many tools do that. I'm aware of at least one, but I think it's imperative for competitive reasons, and also to make people focus on what they need to do and not check or see everything, because that can, you're losing time. That's my personal opinion.
Absolutely.
Okay, 26. But your tool must make it possible to give permissions to view the things that are relevant to either the users or the viewers of your tool, and not every tool does that. Okay. Are enterprise architects involved with your portfolio management? Well, what did you answer, Marina?
I chose two.
Okay.
It varies across the enterprise depending on the criticality of a portfolio projects within. So it does vary, but I'm glad that there is a definitely level of engagement that works.
Last question. Are enterprise architects involved in the planning of requirements, epics, and user stories? Planning or description? Wow. It would have been three not too long ago. I'm very glad to see that people get their feet wet, because delivering is a nightmare. There are many failures. It costs a lot, and it's hard to do. And try to not get involved with delivery for an enterprise architect is tempting. And I'm glad to know that all of you have answered sometimes. It wouldn't have been the case 5 years ago. I'm very glad about that. So it is. We've we have done more than 45 minutes, Marina. Thank you so much for taking your time. I hope you enjoyed asking or answering those questions, Marina.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for having me here. And yes, it was a joy to be here and share with you all. And loved seeing the numbers and finishing here on a high note. Looks like full alignment on the last question. That's really awesome. Yes. Thank you all for joining, taking the time from your Friday to be here with us. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Marina. Thank you very much for everything. And we will not be answering any questions. We intend at Business Architecture Info to do a webinar like this every month, and you will soon know the next subject. And until then, I wish you a good month of November. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me on LinkedIn. Uh, or you can also connect with Marina, and she'll probably say yes if your profile is decent enough. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
Great
weekend.
day. Mhm.